What's up, guys? We are, this is officially episode 122 of the CWG podcast, Chat with Gunner, and we are during the workday, so we know we're talking logistics, we're talking sales, we're talking some type of business. So today we've got the honor of having a guest on that's been in logistics and supply chain for over 30 years and spent a majority of his time with one of the big dog companies in the industry, and that would be UPS. And his name is Mr. David Quintilio. So I'm gonna bring him on and have a little conversation with the man. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Gunner, doing great. Hope you are as well.
I'm doing okay. You know, it's getting hot down here in the Southeast. I'm sure you're feeling some of that, but it looks like, are you at your house? Are you in the office? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm in the COVID bunker that I made back in February, March of 2020. So it's very soundproof basement of the house. So normally I'm up in my office, but figured I'd go with the soundproof broadcast today and give you a little artwork in the background there. So
hey, I appreciate it. What do you got back there? You got Johnny Cash. What else you got?
yeah, you got a little, you got to be a little bit eclectic, right? You got some Wizard of Oz, so you got some Walk the Line, some Johnny Cash, and then you've got one of the latest pinballs, Sword of Rage. I don't know if you remember back in the day, the Black Knight pinball machine. You're probably a lot younger than I am, though, so you might not remember. But they've had multiple versions of that over the years. So I had this little throwback idea. Actually, a buddy of mine actually got me into it. A guy at UPS there, Seth Bruckner. He's a big pinball guy, so he kind of got me into it. And my son and his friends enjoy it, and something to do down here in the basement when we're hanging out.
Hey, it's always cool to have a little bit of a man cave or a game room or whatever you might want to call it. So it's cool, man. You know, I got all my stuff back here too, and some people give me a hard time for it, but hey, it's a conversation starter, so why not?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what that's what life's about. Is it makes all of us unique? Is what we get into, outside of work and with life, and here with the COVID days. Fortunately, I was able to go in most of the time post COVID, but my wife Tammy and my son Dylan and my dog JT, we got a lot of together time. So you find things to do together and to pass the time at home. So
yeah,
stuff.
I will say the one, I guess positive, if there is a positive about COVID and everything kind of shutting down was, if it did put everybody in their houses and you have families, it made everybody get a lot closer and I guess realize if you really like each other, if you really don't. I guess divorce rates went up, but also if you were close, you got a lot closer and you had a lot of fun. So, hey, man, I appreciate you coming onto the show. Listen, you've got a lot of experience. I love picking people's brains, and I'm going to have a blast doing this right here. So just give me a little bit of information about you. Tell me kind of how you got started in logistics and how you found UPS, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, I think you look at it as UPS found me among all the other people at NC State University that they needed to load trucks at midnight hours, right, to keep things rolling. So it worked. It's a great program. You're going to school during the day, and you need extra money. You go work at UPS at night, and it wasn't easy, but it gave you basically a workout, and at the same time, you got to learn a little bit about the company and about how things work in that whole package and logistics industry. So, while I was there at NC State, got was hourly for quite a while, just loading trucks, and then had the opportunity to do some management, leadership, and UPS did a great job over the years of really teaching and ingraining leadership, capabilities with all their folks, and really giving you that opportunity to develop and to grow, and then go into a variety of different positions over the years. From you mentioned sales, you mentioned logistics, you mentioned there's so many different business units and functions, and they did a really good job of not keeping you somewhere too long, and keeping you mentally challenged by putting you in another function, another role, so that you come in with a different paradigm and a different perspective. And it felt like you were with multiple companies, even though I turn around and it's been 36 years and I never left. Right.
Right. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. So pretty much started out at the very bottom throughout college, and then obviously worked your way up to the top. I mean, I'm looking at your resume there, and you got up to senior vice president. You were doing when it says the healthcare logistics, are you doing like the medicine or the pharmaceutical type companies? Are you helping those guys out as far as UPS goes?
Yeah, that's right. At January of 2020, we broke out the business to really focus on healthcare in one area of the business. So it really took all the processes from a supply chain and logistics and put them all together. So it's your pharmaceuticals, your med device, your vaccines, all of those globally. That and what a time to do it, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So that was January, and by February we were scrambling. Hey, I need more space. I need these capabilities. We can't get we can't get masks, we can't get gloves, we can't get respirators. Hey, we need COVID test kits. Hey, we need help in vaccines. So from the get-go in January till I retired in December, it was need more capacity, more people, more capabilities, increase in cold chain. So all of that, that's if you follow UPS, you've seen the developments. So yeah, that was front and center for my team, which did phenomenal job of really taking on that challenge as it came.
Yeah, I mean, crazy to think you take that over, and then 2 months later, literally the only pandemic that we've really had ever in our lifetime hits, right? That's wild. And you knew that was going to be crazy for a supply chain. Now, were you doing warehousing and with the trucks and with the planning and all that, or what aspect were you at when it comes to UPS, or is it a whole?
Yeah. So UPS has the package company, the brown side of UPS that people are very familiar with, but a lot of people aren't as familiar with the supply chain side. So the supply chain side of UPS, there's supply chain units for really all the verticals, whether it's the e-com retail, the industrial, high tech, and then of course the healthcare. So that's freight forwarding, both air, ocean, it's brokerage, it's LTL, it's TL management, and a huge part of it, as you mentioned, is warehousing. So, the receipt, the storage, the pick, pack, ship, the temperature sensitive, and all the regulatory requirements for healthcare. And then, of course, the other side is the retail with e-com exploding. Is where both the supply chain solution side of UPS is focused, as well as the UPS healthcare area is focused on all those end-to-end processes. So it's really an end-to-end solution for healthcare, from point of origin to point of final use. So kind of a needle to a patient, right? All the way through.
Now that must be high stress freight, right? High anxiety freight, because I'm sure you're getting, pounded with questions by the customer, and your customer is not, probably at this point, the government and the pharmaceutical companies, and it's not just your normal medicine, right? I mean, you're pushing out COVID vaccines, and you're pushing out, masks, and you're pushing out these vaccine or these COVID tests. So was UPS working directly with the government for all this, or was it more like with Pfizer and Moderna and all that?
Yeah, I think you saw a lot of the stuff out there when we were part of the whole Operation Warp Speed, and as things wind down from the government, of course, there's the opportunity for UPS and other 3PL and logistics companies to get involved with the private sector as things get privatized. So, obviously, UPS is a partner with quite a few, and there's been a few announcements out there of the different vaccine companies that have been partnered with. But yeah, it's really, when it started, it was government, as you know, with Warp Speed, and then it's gone into privatization, post that. But I tell you now, with with what I'm doing on a consulting and management services side, it's not let up from an e-commerce, healthcare, robotics, and AI. It's just nonstop right now with all the things I'm trying to replace labor to be able to get things done. The supply chain challenges that everybody's seeing, and to your point, some of these are very critical that these companies need a lot of help with. So spend a lot of time with former acquaintances, partners, vendors, customers that need help internally with other things now that are also still partners with UPS as well.
Sure. And talk a little bit more about that. And that was my next question too. So you retired from UPS, and that was December of 21?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so retired from UPS, and then now you were talking about consulting and managing. So you founded your own company. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So my goal was to spend some time, a little bit of downtime, 4 to 6 months before my son goes off to college. He's going to pitch at Kennesaw State University. Go Owls!
Wow. Congrats! Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go Owls! They're in the regionals starting Friday down in Hattiesburg in baseball.
Awesome. So awesome.
I'll be watching them all weekend. So spend more time with him before he's gone. With baseball and with school and out of the house. So spent some time there, but immediately the phone started ringing. LinkedIn started blowing up. Some really nice things said on LinkedIn from former colleagues and peers and former clients, and I got a lot of requests to take a look at things. So I decided, let's just go ahead and launch it. I was just in the formative stages, didn't even have a website, didn't have anything built up, and was going to work on that while I was taking some downtime, but jumped right in. It was actually probably better transition. The 100 miles an hour to zero was not going to work well. And so, just started in response to that. And it's just blossomed from there. So I tell you what, I didn't understand the full power of social media, and relationships in social media, whether it be, what you do here, the LinkedIn, or any other platforms have been, that's really been my only marketing is relationships and social media. And fortunately, quite a bit of relationships in the industry. You had Zion Solutions Group with Jim Shaw, Eubank, and the Franks guys on a few weeks back. And, all of us kind of in the industry have touched one another one way over the years. A couple of them had been at UPS prior and knew a little bit of them from there, but also, as I've been doing more in the robotics and AI space, those guys are experts. So, now, we help each other, like you and they were talking about. Hey, I do freight and brokerage. You guys do warehouse. Let's call each other. That's how the industry is working now, right? It's so,
yeah.
And I'm one that I'm fortunate to have some good relationships, and people say, hey, I really need to take a look at this, or I really need to optimize my transportation network. So fortunately, I've got somebody that knows that. I've got a real team that can get you up and running in any kind of automation or robotics that you need now. That has done that and proven that in the industry. So I'm really enjoying it from a relationship and network side, and really just, being discretionary with my time and who I work with, and what jobs I take on. And I'm really enjoying it.
Well, hey, your time is very important, and being able to enjoy whatever it is that you do kind of takes the work away from it, right? And you retired, you wanted to be with your son, you wanted to go watch him play ball, and obviously you want to be close to home so you can travel. I'm assuming that might be one of the reasons why, as he's getting into college. I can relate to that because when I was a senior in high school, my dad was working for Mayfield Dairy Farms, and they wanted to go to a 6-day work schedule. They wanted him to work on Saturdays. Well, that was a big recruiting day for us because that was when I was taking all my official visits, my unofficial visits, visiting colleges. I played football. So then, he's like, nope, I'm done. I'll go do my own thing. I'll figure it out. But I'm going with him during the senior year. And then he's never missed a ball game, and he was always there. So that's very important for a son to always have his dad there. So, that's really cool that you're as passionate about him getting to Kennesaw as he is. And I can tell that. I can see that in your eyes right there, that you're a big supporter of your son. Now, see a big righty, big lefty? What is he?
Yeah, he's a right-handed pitcher. He bats left, but he's kind of gone to pitching only now. He's gotten a lot bigger, a lot stronger. He went from kind of 5'9" to 6'3", it seems like, overnight, and put on some muscle. And actually tonight's his first collegiate summer league game. So he's playing with the Brookhaven Bucks down at Brookhaven tonight. So awesome. Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Hey man, college athletics, it's a blast. It's a job. It's a job these days, but it's a blast. Hey, those kids can get paid these days too. I didn't get that luxury. I'm kind of jealous. They can figure some things out. Well, hey, you talk about the power of social media and how you didn't really understand it. I didn't either. One thing that I always stayed away from was LinkedIn, because I thought LinkedIn, I had to be a certain type of way, if that makes sense. I had to be a specific version of myself. And then probably within the last year or so, I've decided, you know what, I'm just going to give LinkedIn who I am in reality. And if people don't like that, I guess we can just not deal with those people. Maybe I don't know how that works, but I can only be me. I don't know how to be anything else. And it's really worked. Like, my LinkedIn is probably my best platform now, as far as social media and connecting and all that. And the connections I've made in logistics just within the past few months is wild. Like, we would have never been talking if it wasn't for LinkedIn, or if I wouldn't have the Zion group on and all that stuff. So just being able to get around and to meet guys like you, I mean, it really is. It's cool, and it helps you out. You get to learn a lot because you have experience that I'm never going to have. But now I can ask you questions, and the audience can hear the answers to those questions. They can kind of get an idea. So to get back on path, where are you trying to go with your consulting business? Or are you looking to kind of blow this thing out of the water, or is this something you're just kind of doing for fun and you're going to give some people some advice whenever they need it? Or are you trying to grow this thing?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I wish I knew the answer to it. So, no, I've got a vision of where I want to go. I'm not in a hurry to get there. As I said, this summer is really important to me. But I do see that blowing this out. Just with the number of people that are willing to work together on these projects, and the way things can be structured very quickly for the acumen of the individual parties as just consultants and contractors, and just being able to quarterback that. And with the number of requests that are coming in that I'm actually limiting, I think there's a real opportunity to help tie together a network of experts and really leverage those experts. Thus, part of the reason for the name is to leverage the different expertise that everybody brings, like Jimmy and the gang at Zion, and really having the ability to give the customers a true end-to-end logistics offering of, let us take a look and see what we can leverage within your supply chain to really make it better, whether that's the customer experience better, the time, the timing of really those goods moving through your supply chain, obviously the costs, really being able to do something to impact that, and everybody's on board with that. So I've got quite a few that are willing to be part of that network and help everybody, and some customers that we have now. So yeah, I think we'll ramp that up going into the second half of the year, and see where that takes us.
Well, hey, you know the second half of the year better than anybody does, with it being peak season. That's always a good time to jump in, right? So leverage is a great name. I love that name, especially for what you're trying to do and what I think that you will do very successfully. And that is, partnerships. That's pretty much what this is. You're putting together a group of partnerships and you're saying, hey, I can pretty much find you a solution for anything that you might need, any problem that you might have in any aspect of logistics, whatever that might entail, because I've got X amount of guys over here that are good at this, X amount of guys over here that are good at that. Now, are all those connections that you've made throughout your time at UPS and guys that you've worked with in the past, or is this people that have been like, hey, David's retired now, I got to reach out to him because I never got a chance to work with him. Now I really want to jump into his network. Are you seeing a little bit of both?
It's definitely all three of those. It's people that, I did come in contact with over the years. There's vendors, there's people that, never even became clients, but we got so close in trying to get all of their business that we may have had their package time with them and just got to know them and kept in contact. So vendors, ex-clients, so forth, that really are just looking at how to improve their internal supply chains. And, and hopefully I can leverage UPS for them to help them find a solution within UPS, or if they're keeping things internally, that works too. Or what are the other alternatives that they may have? So, it's a combination of all those folks and a lot that have just reached out over social media and say, hey, I'm doing what you're doing, but here's my specialty. I specialize in WMS software. Great. I don't. So, and they've got people, that's all they do is go in and install WMS software for these customers. So got an instant relationship with someone that can take a look at that, for our team.
That's really cool, man. That's a great idea. I love the name. Leverage is such a great name. I love that. Let's switch gears just a little bit and let's talk about some experiences as far as logistics goes. So, we're in a crazy time in 2022 when it comes to, especially like truckload transportation. That's kind of what we do the most of, with the rates and the pricing and the capacity issues and just supply and demand in general. When was the last time you saw it kind of like this?
Whew. I don't think I've ever seen it this bad from a supply and demand standpoint. The last 18 years of my career at UPS has been on the supply chain side. The first 18 or so was in the package side. But I tell you, in the freight markets and the brokerage markets, I haven't seen anything, especially during the past 2 years, where you couldn't even get a date when a pilot was going to go on a cargo plane or even a ship for that matter, at points during that 2 years. When you've got roughly 10% decline in capacity and a 10% increase in demand, that math doesn't work, right? So,
no.
With the international flights being grounded for so long and still not fully back, all that cargo space was just gone out of the bellies of all of those planes, right? So all you had left was the cargo planes, and then you had problems with crews and whether they had COVID and then the hours and everything else that goes along with it. Just that snowball effect, again, trying to bring over supplies from Asia, whether it was COVID related or whether it was, e-com related, because everybody's at home and the proliferation of those moves just really had that compounding effect that I haven't seen.
So if you can't compare it really to anything, when was the last time that it was not this bad, but almost this bad?
Wow. Pre-financial crisis, there was a peak. It seems like you have that economic buildup prior to all the financial crises of 2007/8 and back in 99 and so forth. So really, those economic upturns, drove a lot of cargo and small package shipments that really stressed at the time. And then you had people that built out capacity based on that. And then what happens? Boom.
Dies.
It dies. And then everybody's stuck. And you have a year or two of poor profits due to capacity. Well, what happened over the past 10, 15 years in the market, right? Everybody went to just in time. And so I don't think you're going to hear a lot of JIT discussions in the next couple of years. You're going to hear more of, what's your safety stock look like? Do you have it at the manufacturing? Do you have it at the intermediate sites of assembly? Do you have it at finished goods? Do you have it on the right continent? Those are the discussions now, right? It's not we got to get lean. We got to get just in time. Well, when you're out of product for 3 months, 6 months, that destroys you. So there's definitely a balance. Now, how much we swing too far the other way, I think people just got burned by that. And
sure.
So, people are not going to touch the stove for a while till they forget that it's hot. And then, then it'll go back into a cycle.
Like any market, right? It'll kind of work its way back out. Like you were talking about in 07, 08. So I jumped into logistics in 2014, but that's right after I graduated college. So the brokerage boom was, after 09, right? That's when all the brokerages came in. You went from having a few thousand around to now there's probably over 20,000 just straight brokerages out there these days. And that kind of started right there in 2011, 2012. So something's going to take place after all of this. I don't know what it is. There's going to be a boom of something. I guess after 99, when that one hit, you had the technology boom. Everything got a little bit smoother. And then after 08, you had the brokerage boom. So what do you expect the boom to be, post-COVID, post-pandemic, post this meltdown? What are we going to see next? What can you kind of expect?
You always have to kind of discount, in my opinion, two things. One is the U.S. and the global economy. What's going to happen there? If we knew all of that, your podcast would be entirely different, and I probably wouldn't be on it because we'd be sitting some island somewhere because. You can guess the markets and guess the trajectory, right? So,
Sure.
So you got to kind of discount that, and then you've got the other wild card of Amazon, right? So that's a huge wild card of where they decide to go and what they decide to do, because I think e-commerce is here to stay. Not only a business to consumer, but I think the whole B2B side of e-com is gonna grow, and the players in that market will start to differentiate themselves. So that's one area I think is going to keep growing, and there's folks that think it's going to really crash down. I just don't see it dropping that much. If maybe a little post-COVID from a B2C, but the B2B side coming up and more products being available from an e-com. And then I think the next thing is the rise of robotics. If you're in the warehouse side these days, you can't turn around without bumping into a robot of some kind now. And the way that they're process based versus very fixed, very rigid, very costly, a lot more flexibility, versatility, scalability in all of the different products that are offered now these days. So, I think that's going to be huge, and the impact that has on the warehousing side.
Yeah, I don't see e-commerce going anywhere but up. And I feel like, I think you're right. You nailed it. I think that's the big boom. Obviously, it's been a boom, obviously since Amazon's been around, but you're about to see a big boom between, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, USPS, everybody out there all shipping around e-commerce, and everybody wants everything right now. And we're still seeing spending going up, which is crazy. But I mean, when does that kind of bottom out? I don't know. But anyways, we'll move on. Brian Lovett says, I'd be interested in hearing David's take on driver recruiting, driver retention today and moving forward. Also, employee retention. What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, I think that's driving quite a bit these days of the clamoring for technology to make things more efficient and less reliance on just adding bodies to meet demand. I've worked with quite a few companies, post my retirement, as well as different 3PLs, right? And I think what you're seeing now is, again, I like that word discretionary, is, people are more discretionary in who they work for these days, right? We obviously, with the exodus of people from the workforce at the mid-manager and above levels, but even at the warehouse levels, they can go anywhere and make what they're making. So sure. It's really how well do they like their environment, and how well are they being treated. So you see ones that are known in the industry for, I won't use a harsh word, but as not an inviting workplace environment, you see them having the most trouble of retaining people now, right? So sure. Those that did take care of their people, which is not necessarily financial, right? It's the leadership style, the working environment, and so forth, being able to meet those demands. And the same with vendor versus partner relationships that you had. So, there's a limited amount of things these days. And who are you going to give it to? The one that just beats you down constantly, that you were supplying to, or the one that's been a partner with you? That's easy, right? So
sure.
Yeah. But to answer the question, I think it's tough to retain in the logistics market, especially in the warehouse market. When you can go anywhere these days and make what we're making there. When I started, UPS was by far paying more than anybody in the industry. Yeah, it was tough work, and you telling somebody to go unload 4 or 5 tractor trailers in 3 hours, but you got paid for it.
Right.
Now it's just a standard. So people are going to gravitate towards more of, hey, I want to work there because, I've got friends that work there, or, there's a certain aspect of what's done there that they like. Say maybe it's a healthcare. If it's a healthcare specific 3PL or business unit, maybe they want to be, more involved in something like that. So you can really tout that, and they can feel good about what they're doing, like what the people in our team did for the last 2 years with the whole pandemic. We were very proud of what we had done over those 2 years. So it's things like that, rather than just, hey, we pay $1 more than an hour than somebody else in the market. That's really going to keep them.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And we're starting to see a huge change in culture right there to culture, right? A lot of people are chasing the money. Now you can pretty much go to whatever company you want to, get paid the exact same thing or something equivalent in the ballpark. So people are chasing the culture. And in logistics, that's huge. In logistics, you see that the companies that grow really fast usually have a great culture. We were able to not let anybody go during the pandemic. Not that we're a huge company by no means, but when you have people and you're paying for families, you don't want to let anybody go. We were able to do that. We were in a good spot. So, and that's why people, I think, want to stay with us. And I've seen other brokerages do that as well. The big boy in town for us in Chattanooga, and I'm sure you heard the name, is Steam Logistics. they're absolutely blowing up right now what they're doing, and they're piggybacking off that Access America style that Coyote bought, that then UPS bought from Coyote. So, obviously the top companies see that, and they know that that's a good model. And if I'm just a betting man, which I do, in Tennessee, it's that you're allowed to gamble, so I bet occasionally on some sports. But if I'm a betting man, I'd say, Steam is probably heading down that same direction that Access America did. It just, everything's starting to line up in that way. So you talk about culture, when you're looking at employees, you're probably a one-man show right now, I'm guessing?
Yeah, just with partners. From a 1099 type aspect of working together on different things across companies. Yeah.
Okay. So is it kind of in the cards to possibly have a brick and mortar and to have employees under you as you move forward and building that culture yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be a limitation of things that I can get done. With the support that I have now from a couple of people, including my wife. From help get things done. There's just a limit of what we can manage there. So for sure. And then as I said, as we ramp up towards the end of the year, it's going to be trying to lock down some of these folks, more permanently. Now, some of them are in the same boat as I am. They don't really want a full lockdown commitment with a company. They want to do their own thing and have that flexibility. So you'll still have quite a few of those that are just partners with leverage.
Sure. Really cool, man. Really cool. Now, your wife, how long have you been married?
Over 20 years now.
Wow.
So
congratulations. Yeah. That's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's strong, man. That's the best business relationship you can have, right? That's the one you got to deal with every day. They see everything. Is she helping? Is she kind of involved in the company as well? Is she there with you?
Yes, she is. For sure. It leads to some interesting discussions of whether she works for me or I work for her.
There you go. You work for her. Let's get that straight. You work for her. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get that straight.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, she's got that, and she's CFO, and the dog is head of security. So we've got a couple good titles out there for them. So
there you go. Now, background in supply chain at all? Or is she just know it because you've been around it forever and just kind of picked it up as hearing the conversations at the dinner table?
Yeah, no, she did. She did have a background prior to her, staying home for a while. So, and then of course, hearing it day in and day out, especially over the past couple of years, right? It's unavoidable with all the calls and stuff we're on around the clock. So, yeah.
Sure. Well, hey, man, another question for you before I want to respect your time and get you out of here. But, obviously you did some of the sales aspect of it in the business development and stuff with UPS. What are some tips you can give to some of the guys that are just now getting into sales or guys that have been in sales for a while when it comes to talking to customers and building rapport and closing business?
Yeah, well, especially in logistics, it's bring the knowledge or have the knowledge. So you really have to prove to the folks that you're working with that you understand the business. And when I say the business, it's really their supply chain and what impacts it. Because for the most part, when you're selling logistics, you're selling to somebody that knows the markets, whether it's the freight forwarding markets, whether it's the warehousing markets, whether it's the ground markets, the brokerage markets, all of that. They've been in the industry for a while and they know it. And it's real easy when somebody comes in to just sell based on, hey, I'm with X company. Here's what we do. That doesn't help me. That doesn't tell me anything. And if you come in with more of, hey, I'm with so-and-so company, but I'd rather talk about your company, your challenges, and see if there's something we can do to help you, and listen to any of their challenges they have, which are many right now, then go back with, a creative solution that says, hey, here's how I think we can really help you. And by the way, here's Joe, here's Sue, whoever it is that does brokerage or does some aspect within our company. I want you to listen to her or him. They're the ones that are going to really be doing it, not me. I'm just connecting it here. So sure, let's talk through it. And so it's really brokering those types of discussions, rather than coming in just trying to say, here's who we are, here's what we've done, here's who we've worked with. It's really just trying to get down to where are their pain points, especially right now, and bringing that solution or some type of solution and somebody that speaks their language in with them if they don't know it all from a sales perspective.
You answered that as if you've had phone calls before asking for business, right? Like as in like people have been calling you trying to get set up with UPS or your current company or whatever it is. And I'm sure you have, because obviously in my line of work, one way we do it is we go through lead generating sites and software, and you type in one of the big dogs and anybody that has an email address or a phone number in there, and they're cold calling them all. And it is true. That's what everybody says. Hey, I'm Gunnar Miller. I'm with 12 Point Logistics, and this is what we do. Nobody cares what you do. People want to know how you can help them. And when I started understanding about questions and just, the less I talk, the more I ask, and the more they talk, the better I'm doing. That's really how you can kind of get into sales and start getting a little bit of headway. And it works. And when you're training guys like I am now, it's just, hey guys, ask very high level questions that get to their pain points, get to their concerns, get to their problems, and then reverse engineer it. That's all the conversation is. Hey man, I hear you. I hear that you're having this problem. Guess what? We solved this problem because I got this guy over here that's an expert at it. It's not too much different than what you do as far as leveraging all the different partnerships and connections. We're just leveraging our different operations groups within our own individual business. And really, you're right. Sales is brokering out the partnership in your business of the person that has a specialty to be able to solve the problem. So great. I love that. Great advice. It all comes down to asking high level questions, because if somebody asks you, they say no question is a stupid question, right? But if somebody asks you a stupid question, they have no clue what they're talking about. So if they ask you a question that's on the right path, at least they might have an idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and it's I like the way you put it. The less you're talking, the more they are, and the right questions to ask that's key. And you can sniff out somebody who knows what they're doing or not right away, and really just say they'll tune you out immediately. I really don't have time for this person because they can't help me.
Sure.
And if you ask the right questions and you hit on a hot button, then you've got a good shot at least getting an opportunity to provide a solution. And what's funny is some of the most successful people I've seen over time in the sales market around logistics, specifically supply chain. Certainly when you're talking small package and some of the other transactional things, it's a slightly different sell. But when you're complicated from a forwarding, a brokerage, a warehousing, distribution, the most successful weren't necessarily professionally trained salespeople. They were people that came from the industry and can speak the language and know the language, happen to have good communication skills, good people, and then you help them with that sales training along the way, and because they're just speaking the language of the industry and doing those things we just talked about, asking, hey, how can we help you? Do you have a problem with this, which is what we've seen in the past, and boom, just goes from there.
Yeah, you're right. And, I come from an operations background. When I started in logistics, I had zero clue what it was. People laugh at me when I tell them, I'm like, dude, I had no clue what logistics was. I couldn't even tell you the definition of it. All I knew was football. I knew B gap, A gap. I knew how to hit people. That's all I knew. I didn't know logistics. So when I got the opportunity to jump in, I jumped in with a good company, Lipsy Logistics, and we did a bunch of stuff for UPS then. But, I was able to learn a little bit from the beginning, track and trace all the way from, setting appointments and customer service to brokering to pricing to sales to learning the markets and procurement and, flatbed drop. I learned it all a little bit. And then when I got to come to a different company and take a shot on myself, I knew what I was talking about. So then it was just a matter of, how do you kind of tweak the sales thing? And you're right. Selling a service is completely different than selling a product, because all the sales tips you get if you go on YouTube or you buy all these different sales universities or whatever it might be. Yes, it helps you because it teaches you like human psychology and just persuasion and negotiation and stuff like that. But it doesn't teach you how to sell a service. It teaches you how to sell a product. And selling a service is completely relationship and completely trying to figure out what the problem is and providing a solution in an honest way, the most transparent way possible. Because as soon as you lie one time and somebody sniffs you out, you're done. They don't want to deal with you, especially in this business and logistics. They don't want to deal with a liar. And oftentimes people get told to sell a lie off the rip, especially if they don't know what they're talking about, and they're never going to be able to recover from that. Another thing for you before I let you go, last thing, I always ask this question to guys that are in the industry. So if you had one tip to give to somebody just now jumping in from college, or just getting into the industry in supply chain and whole, whatever it might be, what's that one tip you're giving them?
I think the biggest thing over my career that I didn't quite know at the time, because it was somewhat forced, not in a bad way, but is take the opportunities to go to as many different functional roles and operational roles as you can in logistics, because you'll never know how valuable that is in your career. So the sooner you can work a year or two in one and a year or two in another area and see how they all interconnect, the more valuable you're going to be in the market, no matter what you do. If you're working with a logistics company or you're working with, a independent company working and running their supply chain. So having that exposure in each of those areas, it's just invaluable from an experience standpoint.
That's all. I agree that people need to listen to that. They really need to listen to that and take that, because kind of like you, when you jumped in at the warehouse and you worked your way all the way up to senior vice president, and you got to do a little bit of everything. And like you said, it was almost like a different business inside the business, or a different company inside the business with different people. Same thing with me. And I feel like that's why I was able to kind of pick it up a little bit faster than others. And the people that I know that have picked it up really quick did the same thing. Started at the bottom, worked their way up to the top. And the guys that I know that struggle the most jump straight into a higher level. Like, I'm not going to say any names, but I had a buddy of mine that jumped straight into like an executive VP spot in sales. And he's the only person in the company that didn't have an account in sales. Like he was the VP of sales and didn't even have an account. Like, what are you doing? How's that work? Right. But you're completely right. You got to get the experience in this industry. You can't fake it. There's no faking it till you make it in logistics. You just have to figure it out. And when you start to make it, then you can go out there and do it a little bit. But hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Hey, no, always enjoy talking logistics, especially somebody like you, Gunnar. So happy to do it.
Well, hey, how can anybody get a hold of you, or where can they find you? Are you mainly on LinkedIn, or where else you at?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the best way. Just at David Quintilio out there, and checking it all the time and responding back. So, that's the best way until I launch a full-fledged assault on the logistics market with a team of good people. Then that's the best way right now.
Well, hey, man, like I said, again, thank you so much for coming on. I wish you nothing but the best. I'm sure you'll be successful. All you've done is have success. And your son, hey, man, tell him I said best of luck. College was the best time of my life. I loved playing college football, and you'll have those memories forever. So I hope he just knocks it out of the park, has a blast in it down there at Kennesaw. It's a great college, great university, and they're only on their way up. So, and it's right down the road. If I ever get a chance to get to a game, keep me posted on the schedule and stuff. If I can ever get down there, I'd love to watch him play. It's just right down the road. I can go check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to have you.
All right. Well, hey, if I'm ever in Atlanta, I'll touch base with you, see if we can grab a cup of coffee or something and see each other in person until then, I'll share the word about you and your company and get you out of here. All right, David?
All right. Thanks, Gunner. Enjoyed it. I'll be looking forward to all the next podcasts. I'll promote
yes,
that
sir.
as well.
Thanks for coming on, sir. I appreciate it. Bye. All right, guys. Hey, that was episode 122. Man, what a great episode. So much to learn there from Mr. Quintilio. It's not often you get to talk to a guy that's been in the industry for that long and to still have that much of a passion for supply chain and, obviously to get to UPS and work his way up and to start his own company now being a consultant. Hats off to him and looking forward to seeing big things out of that company. Leverage. What a great name. Like, I'm going to keep saying it. What a great name. All right, guys. Well, hey, that was Chat with Gunner, episode 122. We'll catch you guys next time. We'll line some more things up for the week. And then we got the in-studio show on Thursday. And then I'm in Arizona this weekend at Andy Elliott's sales conference, meeting up with him and Brad Lee. And I'll give you guys a complete review and breakdown of that next week on the episode. So we'll catch you next time. See you later.